You know, a lot of people talk about what a high value woman looks like, but very few talk about what she behaves like. It's not about perfection, it's not about being cold, and it's definitely not about playing games. It's about the quiet strength you carry, the boundaries you honor, and the way you choose yourself without apologizing for it. When a woman steps into that energy, something shifts. People treat her differently, men respect her differently, and she moves through life with a presence that speaks long before she does. Today, I want to show you the 6 behaviors that prove you're a high value woman not from ego, but from alignment. Some women spend their lives running after people, trying to prove their worth, seeking validation from others, hoping that attention, affection, or approval will make them feel important. But a high value woman understands something crucial. Your energy is your currency. When you spend it chasing someone who isn't willing to meet you halfway, you devalue yourself without even realizing it. You see, it's not about being arrogant or disconnected. It's about recognizing your own value and holding space for those who are willing to meet you there. You don't beg for attention. You radiate presence. You don't try to force someone to notice you. You create an energy so magnetic that the right people are drawn to it naturally. Choosing over chasing is a mindset. It's understanding that relationships, whether romantic, personal, or professional, are exchanges. And in any exchange, when one person gives more than they receive, imbalance happens. A high value woman doesn't ignore kindness or generosity, but she's aware of the flow of energy. She observes, she evaluates, and she makes intentional choices. She doesn't stay in situations because she hopes someone will see her or finally realize her worth. She's already seen it herself. She's already decided she deserves respect, love, and effort, and she won't settle for less. When you choose over chasing, you gain clarity. You stop wasting time on people who are inconsistent, unavailable, or unwilling to meet you at the same level of commitment. You stop chasing validation through messages, appearances, or attention. Instead, you invest in yourself, your goals, and your life. You become so confident in your own value that the idea of someone not choosing you doesn't shatter you, it simply confirms that they weren't aligned with the life you're creating, and that's liberating. That's power. This doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means your energy becomes selective. It means you honor yourself enough to walk away from situations that feel like compromise. And it means that when someone is ready to meet you where you are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, you can show up fully, without masks, without games, without chasing approval. Choosing over chasing isn't just about relationships, it's a life philosophy. It's about knowing your worth in every interaction. It's about speaking your truth and allowing people to either step into your world willingly or step aside. The women who chase tend to make themselves smaller, quieter, more agreeable, just to gain attention or affection. But high-value women don't shrink, they expand. They embrace their uniqueness, their opinions, their quirks, their intelligence, their strength, and their vulnerabilities. And they allow the right people to step into that space, not because they begged them in, but because they created an environment so authentic, so magnetic, that it naturally attracts respect and admiration. Ultimately, choosing over chasing is about freedom. Freedom from insecurity, freedom from manipulation, freedom from living in the shadows of someone else's indecision. It's a declaration that your time, your energy, and your heart are sacred. When you live like this, when you embody this principle, the people who are meant to be in your life rise to the occasion. They match your effort, your respect, your consistency, and your love. And the rest? They fade away naturally, leaving room for the people, opportunities, and experiences that are truly meant for you. Because a high-value woman doesn't chase, she chooses. One of the most defining traits of a high-value woman is her ability to set boundaries, and not in a way that feels harsh or unkind, but in a way that is firm, clear, and unapologetic. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are markers that define where your respect, your energy, and your self-worth begin and end. Many women feel guilty for saying no or for standing up for themselves. They apologize for taking up space, for prioritizing their own needs, for refusing to bend to someone else's expectations. But the truth is, boundaries are the ultimate form of self-respect. They communicate to the world that you are aware of your value and that you will not allow anyone to compromise it. Setting boundaries without fear or apology requires courage. It requires a quiet confidence that says, I am enough, and I will not settle for less than I deserve. A high-value woman doesn't have to justify her decisions or explain why she needs time, space, or consideration. Her boundaries are not a negotiation. They are an understanding of her worth. When she says no, it's not to punish, it's to preserve her energy. When she says yes, it's intentional, thoughtful, and aligned with her priorities. People may test these boundaries at first, but consistent enforcement shows that respect is non-negotiable. This ability to establish limits also transforms how others interact with her. When you are clear about what is acceptable and what is not, people instinctively adjust their behavior. They know where they stand, and they respect the space you've created. High-value women understand that boundaries are not just about keeping the wrong people out. They are about letting the right people in. They create a container for relationships that are healthy, reciprocal, and mutually respectful. Without boundaries, even the most meaningful connections can become draining or unbalanced, because one person is giving more than the other. Boundaries ensure that energy flows equally. Another aspect of setting boundaries without apology is recognizing that discomfort is a part of growth. Some people may feel frustrated or challenged when you assert yourself. That's not your responsibility. The discomfort others feel is not your fault. It is a reflection of their resistance to your clarity. A high-value woman understands this and does not waver. She does not compromise her peace to avoid someone else's temporary unease. She knows that maintaining her integrity and her emotional safety is far more important than pleasing everyone around her. Boundaries also foster confidence and self-reliance. When you enforce limits consistently, you develop a deep sense of trust in yourself. You begin to rely on your own judgment, your intuition, and your standards rather than external approval. People begin to notice this quiet strength. They are drawn to it. They may initially resist, but eventually they come to respect a woman who knows what she will and will not tolerate. Her presence becomes magnetic because it carries the weight of certainty, of self-possession, of a life lived intentionally. A high-value woman's boundaries are not rigid or unyielding. They are flexible enough to allow growth, intimacy, and connection, but firm enough to protect her dignity, time, and energy. She communicates them calmly, clearly, and consistently, leaving no room for confusion or manipulation. And as she practices this, she discovers something extraordinary. The world begins to mirror the respect she has for herself. People treat her the way she treats herself. Her boundaries become a silent declaration that she values her life, her energy, and her worth, and they set the standard for how everyone else should respond. Because a high-value woman sets boundaries without fear or apology, one of the most powerful signs of a high-value woman is her ability to stay emotionally grounded, even when the world around her feels chaotic. Life will always throw challenges, misunderstandings, and disappointments your way, but what separates a woman who commands respect from one who constantly struggles is her response to those situations. She doesn't react impulsively, she doesn't over-explain, and she certainly doesn't let someone else's behavior dictate her mood or self-worth. Instead, she cultivates an inner calm, a steady center that allows her to respond rather than react, to act with clarity rather than emotion, to navigate relationships with intelligence rather than chaos. Being emotionally grounded doesn't mean you are cold or detached. It doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend everything is perfect. It means you recognize your emotions, understand them, and choose how to respond. A high-value woman understands that reactions born out of anger, jealousy, or insecurity often create unnecessary drama and confusion. She has learned that reacting impulsively may feel satisfying in the moment, but it often erodes her presence, her credibility, and the respect others have for her. Instead, she approaches situations with mindfulness, self-awareness, and intention. This quality transforms every interaction she has. When someone tests her patience, challenges her boundaries, or behaves unpredictably, she doesn't escalate the situation. She observes, assesses, and responds appropriately. Her calm is not a weakness. It is a form of power. People notice it. They respect it. They realize that she is not someone to manipulate or provoke because she is firmly anchored in her own sense of worth. And the more she practices this, the more her emotional stability becomes a magnetic force that draws the right people closer and naturally filters out the wrong ones. Staying grounded also means taking responsibility for your emotions without placing blame on others. High-value women understand that while external events may trigger feelings, they do not control her responses. She doesn't give away her power by letting anger, fear, or disappointment dictate her behavior. She communicates her feelings clearly when necessary, but she does so from a place of strength, not desperation. She doesn't beg for understanding, she doesn't demand attention, and she doesn't allow someone else's negativity to disrupt her equilibrium. Another key aspect of emotional grounding is resilience. Life will test you, relationships will disappoint, opportunities may not go as planned, and people may fail to live up to expectations. A high-value woman experiences hurt, frustration, and even heartbreak, but she does not allow these experiences to define her. She processes them, learns from them, and moves forward without carrying unnecessary baggage. She understands that emotional maturity is not about avoiding pain, it's about handling it with dignity, grace, and intelligence. Being grounded also impacts how she expresses love, care, and support. Because she is emotionally stable, she can give freely without losing herself in the process. She can engage deeply with people without being consumed by their moods, expectations, or drama. She sets the tone in her relationships, modeling calmness, clarity, and thoughtfulness. And this steadiness becomes contagious. It elevates everyone around her, creating harmony instead of tension. Ultimately, staying emotionally grounded is a declaration of self-respect. It says, I am in control of my energy. I am not here to be tossed around by anyone's whims. I choose how I move, how I speak, and how I respond. When a woman embodies this principle, she doesn't just survive life's challenges, she thrives in them. Her presence becomes a lighthouse in the storm, a force of calm and clarity that others are drawn to and inspired by. Because a high-value woman stays emotionally grounded, not reactive. One of the most defining qualities of a high-value woman is her commitment to her own growth mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even professionally above seeking approval from others. Too many women fall into the trap of living their lives to please someone else, constantly adjusting themselves to fit expectations, opinions, or societal norms. They hope that by earning praise, attention, or acceptance they will feel validated. But a high-value woman understands that validation from others is fleeting, inconsistent, and outside her control. Real power comes from within, and her focus is always on becoming the best version of herself, not the version that others want her to be. Prioritizing growth over approval requires courage. It means being willing to make choices that may be misunderstood or even criticized by others. It means daring to step into situations where your confidence might be tested, where your comfort zone must be stretched, and where the opinions of others hold no weight over the direction of your life. This is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is a declaration that you value your evolution and your journey above temporary recognition or fleeting acceptance. When a woman prioritizes growth, she becomes magnetic. People are drawn to her energy, not because she seeks attention, but because she radiates confidence and purpose. She invests in her mind, her body, her skills, her emotional intelligence, and her spiritual alignment. She reads, learns, reflects, and challenges herself daily. She understands that stagnation is not an option, and that continuous self-improvement is the key to both personal fulfillment and meaningful relationships. Choosing growth over approval also means making hard decisions without needing permission. She will leave situations that no longer serve her, walk away from people who hold her back, and embrace opportunities that push her forward, even if they are met with doubt or skepticism from others. Her life becomes a reflection of her values and ambitions, not a mirror for other people's expectations. And this authenticity, the courage to live on her own terms, is what sets her apart from the majority. Another critical aspect of prioritizing growth is resilience. A high-value woman knows that growth often comes with discomfort, mistakes, and even failure. She doesn't let setbacks define her or deter her. Instead, she sees every challenge as a lesson, every criticism as a perspective, and every obstacle as a chance to become stronger. She understands that external approval can never replace inner strength, and that the people who truly matter will respect her journey, even if they don't always understand it. When you make growth your priority, relationships, career, and life opportunities begin to align naturally. The people and situations that are meant for you rise to meet you at your level of energy and commitment. You no longer bend to fit in or seek validation from those who cannot match your drive or integrity. Instead, you attract connections built on mutual respect, admiration, and shared values. You become the type of woman who inspires, motivates, and elevates everyone around her simply because you have mastered the art of investing in yourself. Ultimately, prioritizing growth over approval is not selfish, it is strategic. It is a choice to honor your potential, protect your energy, and commit to a life that reflects your highest standards. A high-value woman knows that the approval of others is temporary, but her growth, her wisdom, and her self-mastery are lasting. And by living in alignment with this truth, she moves through life with confidence, purpose, and unwavering self-respect. Because a high-value woman prioritizes her growth over approval, one of the most powerful markers of a high-value woman is her ability to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't honor her. This is not about pride, ego, or stubbornness. It is about clarity, self-respect, and the understanding that your time, energy, and heart are far too precious to invest in situations that diminish your worth. Too often, women stay in relationships, friendships, or environments that drain them, hoping for change, waiting for validation, or clinging to the potential of what could be. But a high-value woman knows that potential is not enough. She knows that consistency, respect, and alignment are not negotiable. When something doesn't honor her, she walks, gracefully and without hesitation. Walking away is an act of courage, because it often means leaving behind familiarity, comfort, or the illusion of stability. It means stepping into uncertainty while trusting your own judgment. And yet, this is the very thing that separates women who are truly high value from those who are constantly compromising themselves. A high-value woman understands that staying where she is not respected, appreciated, or valued is far riskier than taking the brave step to leave. She knows that her peace, her dignity, and her sense of self are worth more than the temporary comfort of clinging to what no longer serves her. This ability also teaches her to recognize red flags early and act decisively. She does not ignore signs of disrespect, neglect, or imbalance, hoping that things will magically improve. She understands that waiting for someone else to change often leads to disappointment, frustration, and emotional depletion. Instead, she observes clearly, trusts her intuition, and acts accordingly. When a relationship, opportunity, or circumstance is out of alignment with her standards, she walks not angrily, not vindictively, but deliberately. She leaves space for better energy, better people, and better experiences to enter her life. Walking away also reinforces boundaries and self-worth. Each time a woman chooses herself over compromise, she strengthens her own standards and sends a clear message to the world. She will not accept anything less than respect, consistency, and honor. People notice this, even if they don't immediately understand it. Her presence becomes magnetic because she operates from a place of integrity rather than desperation. She doesn't cling, beg, or negotiate for respect. She expects it, and she aligns her life accordingly. Another important aspect of walking away is the freedom it creates. Letting go of what no longer serves you opens up space for growth, opportunity, and fulfillment. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, relationships that are reciprocal, opportunities that are aligned with your vision, and experiences that elevate your life rather than deplete it. High-value women understand that life is not about holding on. It's about making room for the people, experiences, and circumstances that are meant to support their growth and happiness. This does not mean she avoids commitment or responsibility. On the contrary, she is fully capable of investing deeply, loving sincerely, and dedicating herself to the right people and situations. But she does so consciously, knowing that her energy is not infinite and that compromise should never come at the cost of her dignity. Walking away is her way of preserving her life force, maintaining her standards, and honoring the woman she is becoming. Ultimately, the ability to walk away is a declaration of self-respect. It is a statement that she will not negotiate her value or settle for less than she deserves. It is an understanding that every choice, every interaction, and every relationship should enhance her life, not diminish it. And when she embraces this principle fully, she becomes untouchable in her presence, unwavering in her standards, and unstoppable in her pursuit of a life that reflects her true worth. Because a high-value woman walks away from what doesn't honor her. One of the most remarkable qualities of a high-value woman is her ability to lead with love while never losing herself in the process. She understands that love is a strength, not a weakness. It is not a tool to manipulate, a mask to hide behind, or a way to earn validation. True love, the kind that elevates, inspires, and strengthens connections, begins with herself. She loves openly, sincerely, and generously, but she does so with boundaries, clarity, and self-respect. She knows that giving from a place of lack, desperation, or insecurity only diminishes her energy, and she refuses to do that. Leading with love means being compassionate, patient, and understanding, even when others fail to meet her expectations. It means listening, supporting, and being present without losing her sense of identity. A high-value woman does not measure her worth by how much she gives. She gives because it aligns with her values and her heart. She offers care without conditions, but she does not allow anyone to exploit her kindness or take advantage of her generosity. Love for her is deliberate, conscious, and empowering. It lifts both herself and those around her, rather than depleting her spirit. At the same time, she never loses herself in love. Many women make the mistake of sacrificing their goals, opinions, or self-respect to maintain relationships. They hope that by bending, pleasing, or overgiving, they will be loved in return. A high-value woman refuses to operate from that place of fear or dependency. She knows that authentic love is reciprocal, not transactional. She understands that compromising her identity or self-worth in the name of love is not love at all. It is surrender. She gives fully while holding tightly to who she is, what she values, and the life she is building. This balance between giving and preserving oneself is what makes her magnetic. She can care deeply and passionately, yet she remains untouchable in her self-possession. People feel her warmth, her sincerity, and her empathy, and they are drawn to it. But they also sense that she cannot be controlled, manipulated, or diminished. Her love is not desperate, it is deliberate. It is not reactive, it is conscious. And because of this, the relationships she attracts are built on mutual respect, admiration, and integrity. Leading with love also means understanding timing, energy, and intention. A high-value woman does not pour her heart into those who are unavailable, disinterested, or unwilling to reciprocate. She knows that love is not about clinging. It is about aligning. She invests in people, opportunities, and experiences that match her energy and values. She nurtures connections that are healthy and uplifting, and she walks away gracefully from those that drain her or compromise her peace. Her love is a gift, not a lifeline, and this distinction gives her both power and freedom. Furthermore, she knows that loving herself is the foundation for loving others. She prioritizes her growth, her health, her happiness, and her purpose. Because she is whole on her own, she does not rely on external validation or affection to feel complete. This wholeness allows her to love others freely without losing herself in the process. She sets the tone for her relationships and interactions, modeling emotional intelligence, compassion, and integrity. People are inspired by her presence because it shows that love and self-respect are not mutually exclusive, they are complementary. Ultimately, leading with love without losing yourself is a testament to inner strength. It shows that you can be warm, nurturing, and giving while still being firm, independent, and self-possessed. It shows that love is not a sacrifice of your identity, but an extension of it. And when a woman embodies this principle fully, she moves through life with an energy that is both radiant and unshakable, drawing respect, admiration, and genuine connection wherever she goes. Because a high-value woman leads with love, but she never loses herself in it.